Welcome to the Want to Learn podcast. I'm your host, Tapon. I'm here with my wife, Rejoice. How are you?
I'm good, and Nora too.
This is first to begin with. I want to do a quick shout out to Kirk, I think his name is, on my website. He had made a long thing saying, Francis, you're not supposed to do any hiking, discourage hiking. Well, let me just defend myself for a quick second. About a month ago, when I first suggested, hey, now is a great time to hike, the world was a very different place. There was no shelter in place orders when I first put that out there. People were recommending that you should stay home, but it was don't gather more than 10 people in a group and that kind of stuff. But you could certainly go outside and do everything. That's when I first suggested it. And then slowly but surely over the last month or so, the people have been really tightening up the restrictions so that now there's only about 5 of the 50 US states that allow you to, don't have shelter in place. Those 5 states are like the Dakotas, Iowa, and I think Utah to a certain extent, and I think Wyoming is another one of those that they're not too strict about it. But that's about it. Everywhere else now is shelter in place. So because of that, say to Kirk that yes, you're right. At this point now, things have changed so much that you'll be breaking the law if you're going out there and hiking. So if you really, really want to hike, go hike in one of like North Dakota, South Dakota, or something like that, and that's where you're allowed to go about and your business. But other than that, you're not allowed to. I'm wearing my ex officio gear here to protect myself from Rejoice because I think Rejoice, you have COVID-19.
Yeah.
And we have here also a Dachshund and Pitbull mix called
Nora.
Nora, Nola,
Nora.
Nora. Sorry, yeah. So according to the CDC, the most recent numbers here, we're recording this in about the middle of April almost. 77% of the deaths are from people who are over 65 years old. 77% are over 65 years old. And 90% of the deaths are people who are over 55 years old. Here's something I think we forget. And everybody's going to hate me for all these suggestions, of course. And go ahead, lay it on. Write angry, frustrated comments. But every year, should I say, we trade off lives for economy. We do that all the time. In other words, with the influenza, with other communicable diseases, we lose 5 million people every year. 5 million people to communicable diseases every year. That includes respiratory issues. That includes tuberculosis, influenza, etc. So we are now those communicable diseases. We could bring that 5 million down to 1 million if we just forced everybody to shelter in place 24/7, 365 days a year for the next 100 years. And we'd be able to control that. But of course, it would ruin our economies. So we accept a certain amount of death.
What percentage of this type of young people who have used to have diseases in their lungs and whatever that have corona and died, do you know?
Well, first of all, I'm not a doctor. I don't, not pretending, so don't take any of this as medical advice. But my understanding is that a young person could die even if they don't have any preconditions or any other problems. It's just that statistically, it shows that if you already have some sort of weakness in your immune system, you could be dying. So you could be 20 years old and die even though you don't have any respiratory issues or any other kind of pre-existing conditions. It's possible, but it's highly unlikely statistically compared to other people. So my proposal is the shelter in place order right now we're imposing on the entire society. We should impose it just on the people who are most at risk and let the rest of society move forward and move on. In exchange, now, of course, there's going to be some risk in that, but we already deal with that risk, like I said, every year with all sorts of other communicable diseases. And I wouldn't tell all of society to get back to work. So, for example, if you're a programmer and you're 22 years old, you could probably continue programming for Google or Facebook or whatever you're programming for and stay at home. Say you're a cook, you're a chef or something like that. If you're over 55, sorry, you can't go to work. If you're under 55, if you feel like it, if you want to, if you have to, take that risk.
How to say it, but it has a kind of a bad
Connotation.
connotations to it, like you're discriminating against the young and the elderly. But I know it says in the CDC that the elderly die much more than somebody who is 27 like myself. But saying that, oh, they stay at home and the rest of us go outside, looks like they will not like it. You understand what I'm trying to
I
say?
totally understand.
They
Yeah,
will
it
not
feels like you're
like
being
it.
signaled out, but unfortunately, the coronavirus is singling out the old people for us, and so we can either um, shelter everybody in place, or we can just shelter the old people who are the most vulnerable of the society. And here's the interesting statistic: 5% of Americans who are senior citizens, 5% live with their younger generation, live with their children usually. It's a very small percentage. Compare that to Africa.
Africa, everybody lives with everybody. It's like 100% of the old generation live with 100% of the young generation. So in my house, I have my grandma, my mother, my father, my brother. And if I have an elder brother, he will be married and his family will be in the same house. So if my mother died, then her room will be occupied by one of the eldest person in the house. So this is how it works. But when I came here, I saw that there is this place called the old people's house. When your father or your mom gets to be old, how old I don't know, when the children decide that they're too busy and they cannot take care of their mom, for some reason they take them to the old people's houses. This is very funny to me. It's just I never understand, like, and this okay, it's not judging the white people, Americans. It's just like, how busy are you that you cannot really stay in the same house with your 70, 80, 90 years old mom and hear her babble nonsense every day when you come back from work? It's just, for us, it's really just nice to have this old lady who has lost her mind, and just you come back home and she's just, where have you been, to just saying things that you don't even understand, and she doesn't understand what she's saying, but just looking at her gives you joy. We don't have places like, what do you call this?
Nursing homes.
We don't have nursing home. Let me talk for Cameroonians. In Cameroon, we don't have nursing homes, and it's like 100%. You cannot go to any corner in Cameroon and find nursing home. And I can speak to Nigerians also. They don't have nursing home. These are the two countries that I have lived for many years between the two, and I know there is no nursing home. Your father is old, he stays in the house. Your mom is old, stay there. We live together.
Right. And I think maybe in Lagos, for some of the richest people, maybe they might have a few,
Believe
like
me,
a few
Francis,
handful of.
you cannot find it. You can go to Lagos, go to every corner, inch by inch. It will be a shameful thing if your mother is old or your dad is old, and you, because you have a lot of money or because you're busy, and then you send them to a place like if they're sick, you send them to hospital to stay in the hospital forever, if it has to be forever. But if they're not sick, they don't need a doctor to look at them every day. It's either they live with you or they're in the village with other family members who live in the suburbs, who are not in the capital cities and all those things. This is it.
Right. And so this is why imposing this draconian solution, which is actually less draconian than the current solution, which is, let's say, shelter in place for the entire society. This is why my solution is actually more benign than the current thing, because only 5% of the senior citizens of the United States are living with their younger family amongst them. That means 95% of American senior citizens are living alone or with their spouse or something like that, or in a nursing home. 95%. Now, there is an exception, by the way, and you'll find this interesting, Rejoice. 25% of foreign-born senior citizens are living with their younger relatives. So, for example, a Japanese old lady who comes to America, there's a 25% chance that she'll be living with her daughters, etc. And if it's an African or a Latin American, 25% chance that the grandfather is living with his family.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense. But for American born senior citizens. Only 5% are living with their.
Well, I think it's because they want it that way. Sometimes I think your American elders, they want to be alone by themselves.
Of course,
For
yeah,
example,
yeah.
your
But
mom.
right. No, that's right. So, but that's why it's so easy to then tell them continue sheltering in place, isolate the senior citizen community, and just say, okay, you guys are already isolated. It's easy to keep you guys isolated, and until this coronavirus passes. Until then, stay at home, don't socialize, wear your masks if you have to go outside to do your shopping or whatever. But then the rest of society, who's younger than 55 years old, or is able to then continue on, and the engine continue working, because at some point we can't keep this up forever.
Yeah, it's not going to for how long are we going to stay? How many more months in the house? It's already April.
Yeah.
And I see on the news they say the unemployment have skyrocketed to a number that I don't know about.
And the mayor of Burlingame, the town that's right next to us, just sent me an email telling me that two cars on our street were burglarized, and their wallet. I guess the owners had left their wallet in their car, and two of them had their wallet stolen. This is unheard of in our neighborhood. Nobody ever steals, and that shows that burglars are kind of idle, and they're wondering,
Yeah, well,
I can't break into any house because everybody's home, so that I guess I go with the car. But it also shows a sign of desperation, I think, that people are now like, I need to pay for my bills. I need to pay my rent. I need to pay food. And I think a lot of the people, by the way, on the internet who are criticizing me for, let's say, trying to let's just get out there and work and go do stuff, a lot of these people are privileged. In other words, they have either enough savings, or they have a job that allows them to work remotely. And many people don't have that privilege. Many people don't even have $1,000 or $2,000 in savings. I don't know statistics, but I think the average American has only about a 1 month or 2 months of living expenses capable to live by themselves. Yes, that's right.
Really?
That's right. And then after,
the average American has about only 1 month of saving.
don't quote me on that, but it's something along those lines. I'll fact check it and put it in the notes. But anyway, it's pretty abysmal. And in Africa,
Well, I know people who live day to day from the market to the mouth.
that's right. In Africa, you would say that they only have about a 1 day. I would say they're living, I mean, literally at the end of the day, they're already thinking, okay, will I earn enough money tomorrow to pay for my meal tomorrow?
Yeah, basically, you eat the leftover of yesterday night, this morning, and then you go out today and sell whatever it is that you sell, drive a taxi or do whatever, and then come home with the meal for today's evening and eat it, and then it's just a continuous cycle. So
Right.
things are really,
Tight.
yeah, it is very, very tight. It's not like us here. You have money in the bank, you go to the supermarket, you buy cartons of spaghetti, avocados, and whatever, and you have the pantry, which is always full of food. That I have been in America for about 2 years now. I arrived in my mother-in-law's house in August of 2018, and there is some food in the pantry that have been there when I came. It is still there. Like 2 years ago, that food was in the pantry and it's still here. And she goes again to the supermarket and buy more and push them back and put more things in the front. So this is
Right.
fascinating.
And we have house sat
And this
in
is-
many houses, and you see the same thing.
The same thing. Some houses are better than others, but every house, basically, I have gone to friends, not friends, family, whatever. You open the fridge, you say, wow. I call my brother from Africa, and then I show him the fridge of white people. Milk, cheese, butter, mango, orange juice, orange, pineapple. I'm like, oh my goodness. They never eat everything they buy. People here, they never eat everything they buy. They always have leftover and they throw it away. I have gone to I worked for a family that I will be there when they cook the dinner. I will help cook the dinner, and sometimes they will invite me to eat dinner with them. And when we finish eating, there will be leftover of pasta, tomato sauce, guacamole, and other things. And then before I knew it, I saw them just putting it in the trash can, but it was too late for me to say, oh, no, don't throw it away. I will take it home because it's already in the dumpster. And then again, and then I told them, because I know they will keep doing that, throwing food. So I told them, next time if you have leftover food, just don't throw it away. Leave it for me. I will come back, and then the next day I will take it and go home with it. So basically, you cook your dinner, you eat. The leftover, you don't put it and keep it for tomorrow and warm it up in your microwaves. Everybody has a microwave. I've never been to a house. Only one house in America I've been to that doesn't have a microwave. But every house have a microwave. They don't want to keep it, warm it, and eat it the next day.
Well,
West.
I would say, hold on, I'll defend these Americans
Okay,
a little bit. I mean,
defend
I would say a large percentage of Americans, I don't know if it's the majority or not, but a large percentage do have leftovers and eat
and
leftovers.
eat them.
Not everybody cooks and then throws away their food.
Okay,
That's
so
not true.
they have leftover from people. If you cook food today, you cook pasta, like Italian pasta, and they don't eat. If they eat dinner today and they don't manage to finish that meal between tomorrow before night, the next second day they're not gonna eat it. It's just gonna be at the back of the fridge for many days, and eventually it goes away. You throw it
No,
away.
I mean, I agree with
No,
you. Certain families are like that.
yeah,
I would just
it's
say that some people are a little bit better about it than
yeah.
others. But here, get back to the main point, which is that the United States is a land of abundance, and we have quite a bit. But even so, there's a lot of people who cannot afford to not work for a month or two. I mean, they're really going to be in a bad situation. And so, for those of you who are listening to this who don't like my idea of keeping the senior citizens sheltered in place and allowing for the rest of society who are reliant, who must go out and work and who cannot work from home, to allow them to go out and work, and who don't like that idea, fine. What is your solution? Because your solution might be, you know, well, we just need to send out money and pay all the people who are unemployed, and the government should just pay for everything. And
But where's the government going to get all that money from to pay everybody who is unemployed, including myself?
that's right. So I mean, it's easy to just say, well, the government should just pay for everything and stuff like that. And by the way, I do think the government in this particular, in my crazy draconian solution here, should pay for the housing of senior citizens who are with families. That 5% of senior citizens that we talked about who are living with their families, if that family is going out to the real world and then exposing themselves to coronavirus, then obviously that's a bad idea. So those people who don't have their own place, who cannot easily shelter in place, those senior citizens would have to be put in some sort of group situation, kind of like a group, not a nursing home, but anyway, a senior citizens living home, where you bring in all those people together who are currently living with a multi-generational family situation and say, okay, for the next couple of months, you're going to be living side by side with other senior citizens who were in multi-family generational things. And you're going to just stay there, sheltered in place. You'll have a social life, stuff like that. But we don't want you to be intermingling with people who are under 55 at this point, because those people are being exposed to the virus, and we want to minimize our deaths. So that's my crazy solution.
Yeah,
Now,
this is just what you think the government or whoever control humans in this country should do. But in the end, people will just go ahead and do whatever it is that they want to do anyways, you know. So,
well, not totally. I mean, there are, like in Spain, they can actually be fined 1,000 euros if you go run around outside. And the United States, they are certainly doing their best to stop people from
yeah, they
going
trust
outside.
us. They tell us, take care and maintain social distances, and they trust us here to say that we can abide by those rules, and that's why they're not finding us. I guess in Spain they don't trust the people to abide by the rules. That's why they're like, okay, we're gonna watch you, and then you go outside, they find you. How big is the ticket?
It's 1,500 euros, I think.
Are you kidding me for going outside?
Yeah.
So you cannot go outside and run or anything?
Apparently not.
Wow.
Yeah, according to one person I know in Spain who told me that.
Is
Yeah.
not good at all.
Yeah. So it's
Anyway,
pretty serious.
corona is really becoming, it's a big problem. My brother said, there was one night a few days ago. Normally, Africans, they help each other. if like you're in the supermarket and somebody is being rude and aggressive, or somebody is slapping a girl or anything, people will come and defend the weak person. You cannot beat women just in the street. People will come out and say, hey, don't do that. Or if you insult an older person, somebody who doesn't know you will come and say you're very disrespectful and don't do that or whatever. My brother said 3 days ago or 4 days ago, he wasn't even sleeping at around 9 p.m. and he had a girl screaming, help, help, help. Around 9 p.m. They have put curfew in Yaoundé. They said 8 p.m. everybody should be at home. And that girl, for some reason, she wasn't able to be at home. And maybe when she was coming back, those idle boys who are bored out of their mind, there's nothing to do now. In the morning, there's no job. Afternoon, no job. Evening, no job. So all they do is sit down and smoke there, whatever it is that they smoke. And they get high. So they started attacking that girl. My brother said he didn't go out, to go and help that girl who was screaming. And he said he's not the only one who had it. He has 3 neighbors. He said his neighbor over there knocked at his door and said, Mustafa, did you hear somebody screaming? Mustafa said, yes. He said, all right, good night then. They heard the girl screaming, but they just didn't go out because now everybody is like to himself. This is how it has come to, what it has come to, like everybody to himself. Before, if my brother here heard a girl screaming in the night, he's going to go out. He's going to go out and say, hey, even get into a fight and shoot those people who is maltreating the girl or a man or something. But now everybody is at home.
Right.
That's how it has become to.
Yeah, it's going to be more and more serious, especially in Africa, I think. But it will be interesting to see how Sweden works out, because Sweden does not have a shelter-in-place order as far as now in the middle of April. Maybe that will change, but it will be interesting to see how their infection rates and death rates go when they're not really doing much restriction there. And Africa has shelter-in-place orders, but of course, as you know, they can't really impose it very well. And so it'll be interesting to see how. I mean, Africa is the most social continent on Earth. People are completely living on top of each other and intermingling all the time. And to me, I just can't even fathom how they could possibly shelter in place and isolate people in African society. It just doesn't work for most of the continent, especially in sub-Sahara. So we'll see. Anyway, tell me what your thoughts are regarding my crazy scenario of just sheltering the senior citizen in place, those who are capable of, who must work out. The rest of society should continue to work from home if possible. And those who really cannot work from home and have to go out and intermingle are capable of doing that as long as they're less than 55 and younger. And that will target the 90% of people who are dying from this. And yes, young people will then start to die more because now the virus is going across. But by the way, don't forget, we deal with that all the time with communicable diseases that kill 5 million people a year. So we're just going to maybe raise it from 5 million persons a year. This 2020 might be 6 million a year, and it will be a little bit higher than normal, which sucks. But I mean, there's a huge cost to stopping the entire economy.
Yeah, but some people will say, okay, well, if you said there's 5 million deaths every year before Corona, and maybe Corona will add another
Million.
They said, then who are this million? That's not going to be you or any member of your family.
It could be.
What if it is one member of your family or you? Would you still be saying that?
Well, it could be me. It could be me. That's why I'm just saying that people should continue to wear masks. And I hope that's one thing that will come out of this whole thing, is that we in the United States do not have a cultural acceptance of wearing masks and of touching each other. Of not touching each other. And I hope that out of all this, we learn from the Japanese, who bow to each other and don't shake their hands, and learn from most East Asians who wear masks by default all the time when they're out in public, which I think is a wonderful practice to help diminish the spread of diseases.
Yeah, it's like, so when the vaccine for coronavirus will come and we're back to work and everything, and you want us just people to be wearing masks just naturally, just wearing masks and doing everything with a mask.
Yeah, I think it's totally acceptable. It should be totally acceptable and encouraged.
Oh well, maybe you people here will do it, but for
Even
us,
even in the hospitals, for God's sakes, you want to be a nurse, Rejoice. You go to hospitals in the United States, and most nurses just walking around don't have any masks on. A lot of doctors, they only put on the mask when they're in the operating
I
room.
think it's nice to just see the beautiful faces of people. When you wear the mask, you don't see anything. You only see this white or green big ugly thing on your face, and it's just like in the movies.
Well, that's what you have to deal with. You have to say, well, do I want to increase the amount of communicable diseases or I want to decrease that? And the cost of decreasing that means wearing a mask. That's the price you pay.
As I said in your previous podcast, eventually corona will become like malaria for us in Africa. Okay, you have malaria, fine, go take the hydrochloroquine or take the pills for 6 days and you're done. That's it.
That's
It's
right.
not going to be like something that we are afraid of and we have to wear mask and all those things. Eventually, corona is going to be like malaria. I have gotten malaria
flu.
many times. Or the flu for you people.
Right.
Or the fever and the headaches. It's just
Right.
going to be minor irritation that happen, and you have to take the pills. You'll be weak for 2 to 3 days and you're done with it. It's not going to be scary. People still die from malaria, but it's not
And the
like
flu.
it's not like, oh my god, malaria, let's lock ourselves in the house and stay there. No. I think corona is going to be like that. Hopefully it should be like that.
Hopefully, it'll only kill a few thousand, 500,000 people per year, every year, just like the flu.
Yeah, well,
On that happy note, stay covered.